Hey Forum, my name is Manny, aka CascadeScents. Welcome to another video. As you see by the title, this is for my winter 2020 to 2021 designer fragrances. Can't wait to tell you what makes the list here. I feel like I have a little bit of everything this year. I know I say that every year though, but truly I feel like I have a little bit more nostalgic offerings. I feel like I have a little bit more elevated offerings. I have a little bit of more compliment getting offerings. So please definitely stay tuned. I'm sure you're going to find something here that you really like. That being said, if it is your first time here, please give this video a like as well if you do so happen to enjoy this content. And also, if you really like it, also subscribe and hit the notification bell for more so you don't miss other great uploads like these. That being said, we might as well get into it. So we're going to start off at number 10, counting down to number 1. Here we go with number 10. It is Lacoste Pour Homme by Lacoste. Now, we're not talking the MSRP of this fragrance, but rather the gray market price of this. You can actually have it at quite a good deal for what it is, in my opinion. And what it is a rather synthetic yet very welcoming fruity vanilla fragrance that I think is perfect for young men. It's funny because this was my first fragrance ever when I was 14 years old, and I thought that smelled a little too sophisticated despite coming from a rather jovial brand and a sporty brand like Lacoste. But I'm telling you, I really do think that this works for the young man who wants something that just isn't straight up fresh and cologne-y. So the reason this works for winter is because of mainly that plum note. Plum is a rather deep, berry-like kind of fruit as far as its scent. It pairs well with the apple that's also here, adding for a more jovial Lacoste-like vibe. So again, an alternative youthful vibe, but it gets classier towards the end when we get more of the rum and the vanilla facets out of the scent. Again, especially for what you are paying for this, typically under $30 US if, again, you choose to go discounted. So yeah, really can't hate on this. My first fragrance ever in Lacoste Pour Homme. My number 10 for winter, just because I'm feeling a little nostalgic. Moving on to the number 9 slot, here we go. It is by Malaki. This is Encre Noire à l'Extrême. Now, the reason why I went with à l'Extrême over Encre Noire here is just because I feel like with a greener, smokier aspect to this, on top of that inky vetiver vibe, I just feel like it's more of a introspective kind of fragrance. I feel like, unlike other Decembers in history, at least for me, I feel like I'm going to spend a lot more time alone, just because I won't be seeing family as much as in recent years due to obvious reasons with the ongoing pandemic, unfortunately. So this is one of those fragrances that I genuinely like smelling for myself. That being said, if you're torn between this or even maybe the sport version or the OG Encre Noire and you only want to own one, I would probably just pick the Encre Noire OG just because A, it will be a little cheaper, but B, it is more of a good gauge for what this DNA is supposed to be, of course, being the original, just being more of a straightforward inky vetiver. But that change up in smoke, I guess once in a while when I do so happen to want to wear this, is really nice. Yes, this could be found for rather inexpensively as well, but it's not to take away from the quality that actually went into this. So in my mind, it's perhaps one of the best bargains on this list, and that's why I can't not put it here. So if you want an alternative take on vetiver or the Encre Noire DNA, you know where to go. It's Encre Noire à l'Extrême, again, my number 9. Alright, moving on to the number 8 selection, here we go. It's Bentley For Men Absolute from Bentley. Now, this is something I would have mentioned previously in the past, and that this is a fragrance that's actually a quote-unquote clone of Gucci Pour Homme, the initial one. And this is something that some of y'all might give me shit for just because I give other fragrances shit for this as far as clones, just because sometimes I'm not really into them. But I think this fragrance is a good reason to be a clone because Michel Amarek, who initially made this fragrance under the Gucci Pour Homme name, of course, that fragrance is unfortunately discontinued, having been a part of Gucci during Tom Ford's association with them. Gucci's just trying to go in another direction creatively as far as both visual and scent, so that's why it's no longer with us, and that's why eventually a scent like this found its way into the Bentley brand. Yes, the cars. Really cool stuff here. So scent-wise itself, as far as how it's advertised, what I like about it the most now is the top note of frankincense. Frankincense or olibanum is a very Old Testament-like note. A resin that feels somewhat balsamic, but for the most part, it feels kind of brisk, almost in a green way to me. At least that's what I get out of this. Put that on top of other woody notes like sandalwood and cedar, a little bit of papyrus for more of a green touch, and then some imitation ambergris, oud, and moss in the base. I just feel like this is quite the bargain of a scent as far as what you can get it for, again, on the gray market. It's one that I can wholeheartedly recommend to just pick up, not only because of the price, but again because the man behind the scent made the initial one too. So it's not like I feel like you're getting a quote-unquote hack of it, and I don't think you should be spending a gratuitous amount of money trying to hunt down the OG. But at the end of the day, if nostalgia also runs your life, then you might be a slave to that price, and I really can't speak against that. It's your money, you can do whatever you want with it. But this is arguably one of the better values on the designer line, if you ask me, because of those circumstances. And that's also why I can't not put it on this list. Very respectable stuff. Bentley For Men Absolute by Bentley at number 8. Alright, Forum, moving on to the number 7 scent for the winter, and here it is yet again. Eau de Toilette version of Terre D'Hermès. Now, I know I keep ranking this goddamn stuff for either fall or winter lists, and like, why not? I mean, I still have to work during these months, yes, especially during the pandemic, and I'm not always trying to constantly be reminded of my scent as far as something that's overly dank and woodsy, or something that is too sweet, something that's too resinous per se. I don't really need that, at least not all the time, so that's why I have something like this, something a little bit more serious for my work environments. I think it's a perfect work scent for either a white or a blue collar worker, classy enough to be put in shirt, slacks, and overcoat for right now, or whatever insulated gear that you are wearing, say if you are a blue collar worker. I just feel like it's such a man scent that it can't not work for any man out there. So here we're talking orange, just a bright orange with a little bit of an aldehydic vibe. There's a mineral quality to this too, so it's going to feel more like a metallic kind of vetiver in the dry down as well. Not metallic in like a straight up platinum egoist vibe, but it's just going to be a hint of it in the background. It's just a nice professional zing is like how I like to style it in my head. And yeah, that vetiver is also somewhat clean yet earthy at the same time, and I just personally love it. So great use of ISO-E Super here as far as the aroma chemicals is concerned, and just a standalone classic if you ask me. That's why I continue to rank it, and I need it, so that's why it's on this list. Number 7, Terre D'Hermès by Hermès. Alright, Forum, moving on to the number 6 fragrance on this list, so almost at the halfway point. Here we go. It's another familiar face. It's by Mugler this time. Amen Pure Havane. Now, this stuff keeps making my list because it's just so darn pleasing. I would have said 3 years ago that this is probably my most complimented designer fragrance, and it still stands the test of time, at least if you ask me. I know some people have lamented its potentially reformulated nature. I don't really feel that way, and this is my second bottle of this stuff. Maybe just because sweeter notes tend to explode off my skin, but I just feel like the longevity is still there, and I'm not too sure about the projection, but typically I would still be able to walk by someone and they're still catching a waft of this. Compliments are also always really, really, again, awesome. Like, it's a cherry tobacco vibe on top of the Amen DNA, which isn't as unbridled here like the original Amen, where it's too tar-like or too patchouli-driven. Again, the star of the show here really is that tobacco vibe. It's just sweet, ambery, slightly fruity goodness. You really can't go wrong with this stuff if you ask me. It's a perfect after-work scent for just about anything you want it for. If you're just chilling, if you're with a loved one, if you're just getting something casual to eat, yeah, just so easygoing. Again, everyone loves it. Yeah, you're just gonna be good with this stuff. That's all I gotta say. Once more, it is number 6 on this list. It's Amen Pure Havane from Mugler. Alright, for moving past the halfway point at number 5 now, here we go. It's by Viktor and Rolf. It's Spicebomb Extreme. Now, there's a fragrance on this list that can give Pure Havane a run for its money as far as compliment factor for me, historically, at least over the last couple of years. It's this stuff right here. Spicebomb Extreme for me is a more casual friendly version of Spicebomb, and Spicebomb was already a fragrance geared towards casuals. It was geared towards getting compliments with its spicy yet somewhat cologne-y nature. But Spicebomb Extreme right here, alternatively, just feels like more of a warmer version of that scent. And then on top of that, you're getting more of a vanilla and bourbon driven dry down here, so it just feels more welcoming from a base note perspective as far as something you probably want to snuggle with. So not only do I feel like this is powerful enough for maybe the club and or the night out for whatever thing you're doing, I just feel like your missus is going to prefer this when she's more up close to you too. I mean, again, that's at least in my personal experience with this scent in comparison to the OG Spicebomb, but I also have to attribute it to the longevity factor as well. I do feel like in comparison to recent batches, this lasts longer than the OG Spicebomb, and to me this is not something to write home about longevity wise either. I know some people say that this stuff lasts like 12 plus hours for them, and that's not the case for me remotely. Just saying 9-10 hours for me is better than OG Spicebomb lately. That's all. So I'm not sure if that is a factor for you as far as deciding which one you want to pick. It's just going to cost you a little extra for this, but I definitely do think it's worth it. Again, it's Spicebomb Extreme. Alright, for moving on to the number 4 fragrance, here we go. This one is Avignon from Comme des Garçons. Now, Avignon, I just love, which you guys know of because I've ranked it in several lists in the past few years. And I guess if you haven't been here before, this is just one of the coolest incense fragrances out there. The entire incense series of Comme des Garçons are each made to smell like a specific world religion, with this one being Catholicism, so it's going to smell like a cathedral, at least the incense in a cathedral. So the way it hits me is kind of brisk, not straight up like a funeral parlor where it smells like ash and burnt. Like, it definitely smells like you could be burning something like this, but it doesn't smell like too smoky, if that makes any sense. It smells like the brightest elements of burning incense, if that also makes sense to you. So yeah, I personally love it for that, but something that some people don't always love is the longevity of the scent, or the performance rather overall. For me, it's fine. It's an eau de toilette. I'm not asking the world out of this. I don't mind respraying it and whatnot. Yeah, it sucks that I can't see through the bottle because of how glossy it is. A glossy, non-translucent black, so there's no way of me seeing how much is left. But it's also not a scent that I'm going to be wearing every day either. And if you can have a quote-unquote fun scent like this that you don't mind throwing on once in a while because you're also feeling nostalgic for whatever reason, for maybe going to church, definitely consider this as a part of your rotation. Again, very, very, very cool stuff for me. It is Avignon from Comme des Garçons. Alright, for moving on to the next fragrance on this list, and in my opinion, this one's a bargain. This is Ombré Leather from Tom Ford. Now, I know you might even still be scoffing at even the discounted price for this fragrance right here, but even at MSRP, I don't hate it for this 50 ml because this used to be a special edition private blend fragrance for way more than what this thing is listing for right now. So I will take what I can get, especially if it still feels relatively the same. And what it specifically feels like is a more straightforward leather fragrance in comparison to a more dimensional and seductive Tuscan leather with also a little bit of that fruity note that that thing has. No, you're just getting a black leather jacket out of this. And I personally love that linear vibe. Like, when I want to feel like a boss and I want something to cut through that cold, yeah, I'm definitely going to be smitten with this all winter. And here in Southern Ontario, Canada, it's actually supposed to be rather cold this winter. So if I do so happen to go anywhere throughout this really cold, pandemic-filled winter, then yeah, I mean, why not reach for this? Again, if I want people to feel me. So if that's you and you also don't want to spend on a private blend price or potentially resale on top of that, definitely consider this newer offering of Ombré Leather. Again, just repackaged. I love it. That's why it makes my number 3 on this winter designer list. Moving on to my number 2 winter designer fragrance, and we're going to double Tom Ford. Here we go. It is the Parfum version of Black Orchid, new for 2020. Now, for them, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not sure which one I prefer more, just because to me, the Black Orchid OG Eau de Parfum DNA is so iconic, and to see it somewhat toned down here is just kind of weird, especially with the Parfum tag. That being said, when it comes to Parfum tags for any fragrance in recent years, especially blue ones, what I feel like you're getting is a less explosive opening and more of a prolonged dry down, and I think that's what you're getting here too for this kind of warm scent in Black Orchid. So as far as the head and or the top of the heart, you're not really getting as much of a orchid or rosy driven vibe. You're getting something here that's straight up almost feels like chocolate ASAP. So the truffle with the rum and the patchouli just really putting in work, just making it feel intoxicating again in that sweeter chocolatey vibe. At least that's how it comes off of my skin. I do think it is good that it is quote unquote less floral for more of a catch-all approach, because I think the Estee Lauder Tom Ford brand is very aware that even men also like this DNA, or at least the OG DNA, and that's why they might as well make a more wearable version for everyone. So mission accomplished here. But I must say, if there's one major takeaway from me, I really don't enjoy the price tag here, just because it doesn't quote unquote feel like a more luxurious version of the Eau de Parfum, and doesn't perform that much better for me, at least on the longevity scale. So I'm not a fan of that, but it is what it is. What can you do? But what can I say? I really don't hate Estee Lauder for that too much, especially when they've thrown us a bone a couple times in the past. But yeah, if you really like this approach on Black Orchid, you're just gonna have to pay up, and that's just what it is. Again, I like it that much that it makes my number 2 on this list, so I hope you enjoy it too. Alright, moving on to my final winter scent, the penultimate one, the number 1. Here it is. It is Amber Malaki by Chopard. Now, I know I've been gassing this stuff up for a minute now in previous videos, especially with guests, but I'm dead ass. I really feel so strongly about this Malaki line from Chopard. I feel like the price you can get it for on the discount level is absolutely insane. Like, we're talking around $50 US, which is around 80 bucks off, which is, again, crazy to me for the quality of the juice that you're getting here. And again, this stuff to me is probably the best amber fragrance under 100 bucks, period. So getting more into that amber, what is it like? Firstly, it feels smoky from jump because incense is actually a top note here, very unique, but it would smell way too harsh if that lingered solely for way too long. That's why you're getting the heart of that amber ASAP. Very deep, very resinous, but very sweet. It's not going to like drip off of your skin. It's not going to feel gourmand in a sickly way, but still nonetheless a somewhat syrupy yet sophisticated approach to, I guess, more Old Testament kind of sweetness in amber. Like, it feels mystical to me is what I'm trying to say. You also have some labdanum in the base and some vanilla bourbon. It's going to make it feel a little bit more intoxicating. So if you like a lot of high-end boozy fragrances, I have no doubt that you're at least going to enjoy this at the price point it's at. What can I say? People like to dunk on designer perfumery for whatever reason, saying it's dead or whatnot. To me, I honestly just don't think you know where to look for designer perfumery. Like, some of these brands, the YSLs, the Chanels, the Dior's, they're going to have mass appeal only in mind all the time. And maybe if you wanted your designers to be a little bit more creative, like back in the day, you have to look at designers who are still trying to be creative, who aren't always trying to market to just the masses. Again, Chopard is a Swiss jewelry maker who are quite esteemed in various parts of the world, like the Middle East. So they are actually going to sometimes make offerings that feel also esteemed for those people. So again, here we're talking a more boozy, ambery, just sophisticated vibe. And for some of your more upscale occasions, or if you just want to be feeling yourself throughout this sad holiday season, I just don't think you're going to be remotely disappointed with this. And if it's not for you, again, you'll at least appreciate the quality, but it's one that I definitely recommend taking a chance on. You know I love it. It is Amber Malaki from Chopard. But yeah, I think that overall does it for my winter 2020 to 2021 designer list. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys really enjoyed this list, again, give me a like and also subscribe if you've yet to, and hit that notification bell if you want to see more like this. If you guys also want to tell me in the comment section below what else I should be reaching for designer wise, please let me know. Let me know if I missed something, I don't know. But yeah, again, stay tuned. The niche list is going to come real soon. Hopefully y'all enjoy that. And until then, I think that about does it for me. So take care for now. Be safe out there. My name is Manny. Wear your fragrances.